So I asked you guys for your hottest takes on the newest Yu-Gi-Oh ban list, and general thoughts on where Yu-Gi-Oh is progressing. With the banning of big Omni negates and a potential retrain of Max C, right now Yu-Gi-Oh is changing at an absurd pace. Let's see what you guys think of these changes. By the way, there were over 200 combined responses from Twitter and YouTube, so in the future when I do this for the next ban list, if you want your response prioritized, follow on Twitter and put it there. Shameless plug aside, let's begin. Branded is the most boring archetype to play. For me, the most fun decks are the ones with unique interruptions like Shark and Melodious, but Branded's most common fusion monsters are just generic negates and pops. I don't see where this person is coming from. For a majority of Branded's lifespan prior to Rindbrum, none of the Branded fusion monsters even had a single negate. Not to mention, Branded is one of the few archetypes that really doesn't play a ton of generic extra deck good stuff. While stuff like Snake Eyes, Super Heavy Samurais, and Tearlaments all jammed as many generic boss monsters as they could, Branded was pretty much all main deck and archetypal stuff. I think the original build with Branded in red and Guardian Chimera was super fun, the change from the Bestials was really unique, and with all the Dogmatica stuff, I think Branded is one of the few modern decks with a complete identity. Yes, Gimmick Puppet Lock sucks ass, but for every game that doesn't happen, Branded is a very cool deck. Its player base, on the other hand. X-player take here, Yugioh doesn't cultivate good TCG game sense, and they're the type of player I'm least worried about facing unless they're pro. Well, that's mean. See me in the Naruto card game, I'll body you. Now, this person might have a decent point, and why is that? Not because Yu-Gi-Oh players are inherently bad or whatever elitist garbage some other people might think, because Yu-Gi-Oh is the only card game without a resource system. It's limitless. You can essentially play your entire deck forever as long as you chain the special summons correctly. So if your only reference for TCGs is Yu-Gi-Oh, going into a card game, you're missing a fundamental skill. This isn't something small. Pretty much every deck, boss monster, and combo needs to be evaluated under the set of parameters a Yu-Gi-Oh player isn't used to. So I can see where this person is coming from. Now that generic Omni negates are gone, Nib has to go as well? The only thing that made it balanced was the fact you could go for weird lines to play around it, but now that's not even an option. You either have to play through it or lose. Fuck Nib. One, I don't think that's true. I think there's plenty of decks that can play through Nib or have a line to get through. Two, I think Nibiru is one of the few hand traps that can check a combo deck now that so many generic Omni negates are gone. This was written by a Super Heavy Samurai player 100%. Hot take. Yes, you, watching this video at 3 in the morning because time zones fucked you over, should subscribe to BreadBoyWeeb in the gaming channel, hell yeah! Buff Time Lords, Pretzel with the greatest takes as usual. The first gaming video came out a few days ago, check it out, but back to Time Lords. Time Lords are one of the few archetypes that really have a unique game style. I would love to see a buff towards them. Here is some Time lore. Did you know they were based on the Tree of Life from Jewish theology? So, call a judge immediately if your opponent is Kanye. Okay, hear me out. What if they bring back Nightmare Mermaid? Snake Eyes has cards that do more than Mermaid. In the cards I wanted unbanned in Master Duel, I did include Nightmare Mermaid. It's a good card, but it really doesn't compare to the power of decks we have 6 years later. Its two targets are Orchist and Ibli. If Orchist has this tool, it might become an okay rogue deck. Oh no.
Another milk. Help! Help! Help me!
Searchable Ibli is scary until you remember Cyber's pile decks have always been able to search Ibli, and none of those decks ever did it when they were meta. It's incredibly easy to give up a single extra deck slot to out this, and it takes quite a bit of resources from the opponent to put it onto the board. Mermaid is completely fine to come back. Welcome back to Hulk Season, where helpless cards are banned for someone else's sins. Today's victim, Link Karibo. So, tell me Linky, who did this to you? Its name was... Don't worry, Linky, they can't get you here. This is a safe space. They can't hurt you anymore. Poplar. Its name was Poplar. And this gave me a good laugh, but I think this was banned not just for Poplar, but Apollosa. One of the only ways to consistently deal with Appo's 5 million monster negates is to run it over once attack is lower. Link Karibo protecting it was just a bit too strong. So it died for the sins of two cards here. Ban them both, please give me back my Karibo. Hot take, banning floodgates is a terrible idea. The only reason they're so good is because of how the only decks worth playing are combo due to how fast the game had become. To the point the only ones who play a remotely threatening back row are floodgate heavy decks. Also, don't said combo decks also end on powerful... Also, don't said combo decks also end in powerful floodgate boss monsters? So let's drop the hypocrisy here. Both are playing the same game, one with monster and one with back row. This take immediately falls apart when you remember, one, floodgates also stop mid-range decks from being able to play. I don't know what Sword Soul Striker or Salamangreat are doing that is so OP, but floodgates are annoying to those decks too. Also, what hypocrisy are you talking about? People are very vocal about how much they hate the puppet lock. Nobody on Earth is like, I hate floodgates, but only the trap ones. I love Jowgen, puppet lock, and the stupid fossil dino. You're just making someone up right now, dude. I feel like some good monsters having a certain level of genericness, for example, things like Goyo Guardian requiring an Earth Tuner, is an acceptable restriction, and an archetype locking every archetype isn't particularly healthy either. It's funny you used Goyo Guardian because that was one of the most infamous erratas when it didn't need it and it kinda ruined the card, but generally I agree with this take 100%. I love the idea of certain cards and attributes having a generic card that only they can use. If you play a Dino deck, you have Fossil Dig and Misk as options for further consistency. If you play a Fusion deck, you can run Super Poly as an amazing board breaker and potential turn 1 disruption. Even cards like Promethean Princess are really cool. I know right now with a tier 0 fire, everyone hates them, but with some tuning, this could be a great idea. I do hope it's a little more creative than every single type gets their own Rhoda, and that's it though. If Maxi gets banned in the OCG because of Molt Chummy, it's 100% the better format because it at least supports rogue decks by letting Barone and Savage live. Honest, you're the homie, gotta disagree here. Generic cards do not help rogue decks. In fact, I'd argue they hurt them, because the meta strategies are able to abuse said generic cards to a stronger degree than the rogue decks. Now, some people might say, just hit the meta decks that do abuse them. I mean, you could, but modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a revolving door of new meta decks. If every meta combo deck of the last 4 years abuses the same 3 to 4 boss monsters to make an unbreakable board, then the answer here is to ban the common denominator, right? Not to mention, these cards as a whole make the general meta unhealthier, and even if they were used by rogue decks to a higher degree, which they aren't, the need of the general meta outweighs the need of a few rogue decks, sadly. The Forbidden List update is perfect, and for everyone that is pissed that Barone and others finally got the price reduced, just simply shut up. Those cards were toxic. Also, Protoss and Colossus back is fine at 1 for me. At least they aren't as bad as the others. I agreed with the first half of this tweet, a little aggressive, but I did. Then it went completely off the rails. Look, Barone and Savage Dragon are toxic cards. They will run in every single meta combo deck, and they were a pain in the ass. But Protoss isn't a super toxic card? Look, I play Sword Soul. I will benefit from this. But Protoss is absolutely one of the most toxic monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Decks can play through an Omni Negate or two sometimes, but a blanket Vanities is impossible to deal with. Unlike Colossus, Protoss resolves going first, so you can't even use something like Dark Ruler No More or Droplet on it. It's just a cancerous, lingering floodgate. Awfully designed card. I don't know how anyone could think it isn't absurdly toxic. We need more cards like Bonfire for bad types. I like the idea, but every archetype just having a Rhoda is a bit boring. I say we give powerful searchers to a more specific group of cards. Maybe level 4 lower fire dragons. Obvious Tenpai support, but if you make a strong level 4 fire dragon later, that could be worth running. And I don't think we have to make it a search every time. Maybe the ability to revive 2 monsters, or just something more interesting than changing the single word on a card and selling it for 80 bucks. The ban list as a concept is dumb as hell. It's insane that nowadays people can actually read a card and say, yeah, this is definitely getting banned later. All the cards on the list need to come off. A lot of them won't even do anything in the current game, and all of the cards would be toxic or broken, need to be errated. Oh no, 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 no. Look, I agree with making cards much less generic. Make Barone take a Fluor or Plant Tuner, make Savage Dragon take a Dragon or Rocket, but not every card needs an errata. How the hell do you errata last turn? The card is written in Minecraft Enchanting Table. Plus, a lot of these cards are iconic in their insane power. Ruining them just for the sake of making them playable? I disagree. Keep Pot of Greed the way it is. Okay, these takes are getting a little too hot and there's still hundreds of them left. It's time to go into lightning round. Quick takes, quick responses. I'm going even further beyond. It's clear the health of this format is entirely secondary goal to Konami's balance team. Indeed, the entire ban list exists primarily to make money. Stop playing old cards and buy new ones. Yes, balance matters, but it's the secondary reason. Jet Synchron should have been banned again instead of Link Karibo. This take doesn't make a lot of sense. Jet and Link Karibo serve 2 different purposes. Jet makes synchro boss monsters, Karibo protects your Appo and dodges targeting for your monsters. They aren't really interchangeable. They should have banned Appaloosa. Yes, they should have. I made a whole video on it. Yugituber YouTubers, please stop reacting to my content. Barone ban was not needed, just bait the effect, please don't kill me, it's too late, I'm already in your walls.
You have 12 hours left.
For a real meta shift, we can just bring back Masterpiece. Masterpiece would not shift the meta in the slightest. The top decks would all be the same. Should have unlocked the block. At first, I thought this might be possible because Adamancipator really needed Barone and Savage Dragon. But a board of Apo, Dragite, SP is also absurdly toxic. I cannot agree with this now. Hot take, Colossus could have went straight to 3. While I think bringing back Colossus was a mistake, if you're gonna do it, yeah, 1 versus 3, it makes no difference honestly. Maybe Thunder Dragon will be a bit more annoying with it. Hot take, errata cards need to happen more often to balance the game. I agree, especially with boss monsters or archetypal extenders. Restrict them to some degree, even if it's just a type or attribute that holds them in. I am sick of generic piles with no themes. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is fun. Alrighty, that's about as many as I can do in a realistic time span. I think I'll do one of these every time a ban list comes around. I love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. I mean no disrespect to anyone's takes here, it's all just a bit of banter and disagreement over cardboard. But what do you guys think? Let me know, comment below, and thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. This is BreadBoyWeeb, signing out.